Hi everyone, welcome back to another little painting demo. I have sped this up a bit, but I'll talk you through what I was doing as we go along. The reason I sped it up on this one was because I'd taken an awful lot of pauses because I really didn't know what I was doing. I'm not particularly familiar with painting flowers. I did watch a couple of YouTube videos prior to having a go, which really helped me out. I'd been quite lost without that. So I used the tutorials online myself to help me paint my painting, or to get the idea on how to paint, to go about it really, because I think painting flowers is so complicated. There's so many different little shapes that you've got to try and capture, and I couldn't really get my head around that, because just looking at the bouquet of flowers we were given, I thought, how does anybody depict all those petals? And then I kind of watched other people, and I realised that you just suggest them, but others were suggesting them really, really well. I've had a go at doing that, but the way I've suggested them isn't as good as others, obviously. But like anything, it's a continuous learning curve, painting, and when you haven't painted a particular subject very much, I've done single flowers before. Just like, I don't know, a daisy or a peony or something like that. But I've never done big groups of flowers before where they're all kind of touching and all blending together. So I kind of like, So anyway, sorry, I was interrupted then. It was quite a challenge. Quite forgot where I was. We'll get back to it. Anyway, I kind of started off with the brighter colours first, thinking, well, if I keep those as clean as possible, I leave the greens until later, then I'm going to get the purest colour, which the flowers are kind of really bright and vibrant, obviously. So I thought, well, it won't muddy anything and it won't make anything too dull. So I kind of kept with the bright colours first. And at this stage, I was quite happy with how it was going. I was quite pleased, really. The only thing I would say that I did at this stage, which I regret, was I painted them too dense. There was more space between them. A bit like when you paint a tree, you leave sky holes, don't you? To make it so it doesn't look like a big lollipop. Well, I didn't leave enough space between some of the flowers to see through them. It was just too dense. But that's okay, because I know that's, what I did wrong, and I just know that next time I can, change that a bit. I used what colours I had. Now those that are used to painting flowers would probably say completely wrong. So, and I appreciate that, and I'll be welcome to advice on colours for flowers if anybody's got any. Be really useful. But I kind of used what I had available to me. So I used quinadrone purple, cadmium red, cadmium yellow, lemon yellow. They were my brightest colours. But if there's any specific colours that people recommend for flowers, I'd be really interested to know about it. Going back to the sky holes, that was just down to observation, like with any sort of painting. And to get the drawing part right, or to get the space, it's all about how well you observe. And I think I was too wrapped up in doing other things and not concentrated too hard on actually painting the flowers, that I forgot about the observation a bit. So need to bear that one in mind next time. So now I was just concentrating on the greens at the top, and for that I was using cobalt blue and mixes of cobalt blue, cadmium yellow, and some lemon yellow, I think, just for the greens. I was also mindful of it becoming a bit unbalanced looking at this point. And then another thing I was worried about was when you're painting the flowers, if you're not careful, you keep adding bits to the sides, and then it grows completely uncontrollably out of shape and size. So I was, just because I added the bits at the top, the greenery at the top, I didn't necessarily just want to match it on the other side, because I just had this vision of it getting too big and out of control. So I left it at that point, left the top bit. But I did go, you'll see in a minute, I did start going a bit mad on the left hand side, adding leaves and stuff like that. I'm just doing the centres now, and for that I'm just using some crimson and cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, for that mix, quite a strong mix, just to get the centres of the flowers. And of course the first wash is still all wet at this point. We're kind of only 5 minutes into the painting, so you do cover quite a lot of ground quite quickly when you're painting the flowers. So the wash is still wet. Now the white ones on the left hand side here, I was struggling to know how to portray those really, so I just kind of like roughly suggested the petal. They're kind of like a daisy, but a bit fuller, a full looking daisy, not just a flat one, if you know what I mean. Quite a full head, with different layers of petals. So I was just using some, it was cobalt blue with a touch of cadmium red in there to try and create some shadows and try and create some form with them. I knew later I was going to be painting around the outside of the painting a bit darker, so I knew eventually that I would be able to create some shape, some negative painting around the flowers, so it created some shape that way. I'm moving down now to the glass vase they were sat in. I'm just making sure I left a little line of white around the top of the vase, just to show where the vase starts, and if not, I just felt that it would look a bit strange. So I could just see a white highlight on the vase itself, and I retained that, and I think that part works really well. Yeah, it's not the top of the vase, it's the rim I was thinking of, couldn't think of it. Around the rim I just left that little white bead, a little bit of white paper, and it really just sort of indicates the top. It's where the vase starts and the plants and the flowers are. Quite like suggesting glass, it's sort of that nice little, just drop those greens in, you get the nice feel of a glass vase. I'm using my trusty Chinese brush here, my goat hair brush, which I know I say it every time, but I'm sure there's always some new people watching when I do a video, so I really recommend the goat hair Chinese brush. I think everybody should have one in their water painting kit. I'm starting on that left hand side now, and that's kind of unbalanced it now. All of a sudden it's thrown it out completely for the top and the left. But I didn't want to just mirror it on the other side, because then it was going to look too stupid and too formal. So I don't know what I do about that later. I think I kind of like put a wash of colour over it just to make it sit back further later in the painting, just to help it. I put these flowers in the vase that you can see. I arranged them, so if anybody out there is a flower arranger and they don't think it's such a good job, well, I'm not surprised, because I did it. There's a little rose up there at the top that I'm just putting some more shadow on. So don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, if you enjoy it and you want to see more, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and like and subscribe to the channel. Turn your notifications on so you'll be alerted to any new videos that come online. And don't forget also, if you're like a keen artist and you want to improve, think about joining our website www.purewatercolour.com. There's a link below the video, and there's a free members area there with forums, and we have a very active membership now. Lots of artists posting their work and taking part in challenges we set at the site. So feel free to come and join up. Like I said, it's completely free. You can leave your wallet in your bag or in your back pocket. No charge at all. Just for artists who want to come and meet like-minded people. Okay, now I'm adding the background to the painting. I was telling you earlier, I'm using a bit of cobalt blue and some yellow ochre or raw sienna. Possibly, no, I think it's yellow ochre with a touch of light red as well and crimson. Just making some neutral colours really to paint around the outside a bit, just to do the negative painting around the daisy flowers. I paint over the greenery at the back there in that wash, and I just find it cushions it a little bit, makes it sit back a little bit by painting over it. So with this, doing the background, I'm using my 1-inch flat brush. It's just a synthetic brush, but works really well. Get a nice sharp edge with it. Putting in the shadow with a bit of cobalt blue and light red, or cadmium red. You could use either. And really now it's just a question of picking up the final details in the flowers. Trying to observe the shapes. And this is the bit I started to become quite stuck, because I found the shapes very complicated to look at, and I had a job to decipher what was really happening. Adding a little bit of shadow to the centres, a little bit of burnt sienna. Now the centre of the rose is very difficult to paint. It's not something I've done before, as you can probably see. So I just kind of really opted out. I just really did a very loose suggestion of these roses, but they're not a very accurate representation of how they were. I just kind of did an impression that I could get away with. But it's something I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice and get it right. And when I do get it right, I'll make a short video of practicing. But I'm going to just have a go at doing single rose heads just to get the hang of them and to understand them. And that's what painting's all about, really. It's just when you're not sure about something, you just have to keep practicing it and going over it over and over again until it kind of imprints itself on your brain. And then you can kind of relax a bit when you know you've got to paint it. I went a bit too heavy-handed here with the darks. I preferred it before this stage. But as I said, I wasn't really sure at this point what I was doing. I was floundering a little bit, just feeling around for ideas and just using my kind of intuition, my gut feeling of what to do. I had no real understanding of what I was doing to pick out the different petals and everything. So I just made shapes, really. I looked at the lights and darks and just did the best I could. You can see how hesitant I am really when I'm painting them. Even though this is sped up, you can still see me thinking, oh, what do I do now? What's the next stage? But you know, for an overall first attempt at a big vase of flowers like that, I'm quite pleased with it. I really thought it was going to work out worse than it did. So overall, I'm quite pleased. I don't want to sound too negative about it. So I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video without my commentary, my voice going on. So thanks ever so much for watching. I'll finish out with a little bit of music you can listen to, background music, while it's playing out if you wish to continue watching. But for those that do, and for those that watch so far, thanks very, very much for watching my videos, and bye for now.